Hey, y'all, thanks again for listening to Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Podcast. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review. You can follow me at Drew Tessier NYC. And if you want to see it live, you can watch this on YouTube. Thanks, y'all. It's Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Show. Let's talk, y'all. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Podcast, where we talk to queer comedians about their journey through comedy and life. I'm very excited to have with me today the very funny Gus Constantellis. You and I, this is kind of a fun story. I tell people all the time that I feel like queer comedians sort of had an advantage when social media started happening because we were so used to talking to each other through dating apps and stuff like that anyway. You and I met through Instagram, chatting online while you were still in LA before you even moved to New York. I mean, I feel like you and I were kind of buddies before you even got to New York.
Did we?
Yes. Apparently, it didn't mean as much to him as it did.
No, not that it didn't mean as much, but there's so many comics, and you don't know. I mean, that's so funny. Yeah, I mean, the world is so small. And the community is small, especially when you're a gay comic.
Right.
Where you're like, okay, well, there's only so many people, and people do come up. Yeah.
How long were you in LA?
I was in LA for 3 years. I grew up in Brooklyn, moved to LA for 3 years, and then came back to New York.
I can't imagine you. I mean, you're such a New York person.
I know, and that's, you know what, you're saying that, and that's what everybody in LA said to me every day I was in LA. Like, I would meet anybody. Like, I met a bartender once just hanging out, got a drink, and he was like, "You're not from here." And I was like, no, baby, I am not. Yeah.
Did you like LA?
No, I mean, I don't like driving. That's my thing. Right. I mean, I made such great friends out there, and like we still talk to this day. We're in a group chat. Like, I have been invited to their, like, I love those people, but like, and I keep in touch with them, but like overall, like, I hate driving. Right. I didn't like that city. I didn't like most of the people. I grew up in New York, right? So I just was able to walk around and do whatever I wanted. If I needed to like go get ice cream and eat something and whatever, I could just go out and leave and go do it and not have to worry about my parents being like, "Did you shake the car?" You know what I mean? I could just do it. And so I grew up differently than I realized growing up than a lot of people in America did. And then moving to LA, I was like, oh, we got to drive everywhere? What if I want to get just a coffee? I got to drive to get a coffee?
I can't imagine the hustle of comedy combined with traffic and valet parking.
Awful.
I would shoot myself.
You can't really do more than one or two things a night because it's difficult. And unless you're doing like one, you know, unless you're at the store and you're just doing like, you know, all the shows, and that's different.
Yeah, I think that we're so lucky in New York. I mean, if you are really trying to get better at stand-up comedy, just the ability to get up as frequently as you can in New York is just, it doesn't, well, I've never been to Chicago, but I don't know what
it's hard. You need a car in Chicago. Things are far. Mm-hmm. Chicago need a car.
That's a lie. I have been to Chicago. I've never been to Chicago doing comedy, but
yeah.
So you moved to New York. You moved back to New York, I guess, what, 2017, 18?
2018.
18. Mm-hmm. And you were in the first round of the New York Queer Comedy Festival. You were a finalist, got passed into Broadway and Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
In fact, I think the person that won that comedy festival, I was second, doesn't even do stand-up anymore.
Doesn't do stand-up anymore.
So, you know what, it can happen. It can happen for you too, baby. I'm so kidding.
Yeah. No, it's you know what? It's
a lovely person that's very funny. I'm not going to lie. I love that person. I'm not going to name names. I love that person, but it was just funny. Yeah.
Did very well in the New York Queer Comedy Festival.
Killed it. In fact, that's the problem is like doesn't do stand-up but should still be doing stand-up.
Right.
And it's annoying to me that he's not. And that's the thing.
Well, but he also got in early, as you did, with sort of a big social media presence and whatnot. What kicked off your sort of social media journey? I mean, were you Twitter first? Were you Instagram first?
I think it was Instagram and TikTok simultaneously because it was that Greek Easter. It was during the pandemic. A month into the pandemic, I posted a Greek Moms on Easter video, and I was impersonating my mom. Right. And I had already been doing that character like for a few months, but it just wasn't really taking off. And it was just like right place, right time because it was the first Easter people weren't having with family because it was pandemic. And it was fresh pandemic. It was April. And like even April, even Texas was still closed, you know, mostly in April. Do you know what I mean? So it was people were still shut down. So I think
and all the gays put on wigs and started doing their moms on Instagram.
Yes, every gay put on a mop on their head, or if they had a wig, they just slapped on a wig and just doing their moms. And I did my mom, and then it took off doing that Easter weekend. And it was literally YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything. It went viral, just like all of them.
Wow.
And it was kind of nuts. Like I just had to like put my phone away, and I was like, this is cool. This is nice. This could be the start of something nice. And then I just kept going with it, and then eventually was able to build it out. It's crazy because like people really are so worried about like getting to that point where they don't think about the after, and it's like after is like you just have to like keep working so much harder and so much harder, because then when you start putting out mediocre shit, it's not good enough anymore, and people don't want to hear it. And so you kind of have to constantly be like reinventing yourself. And I think the people that have found a lot of success are the people that just build nice, good teams around them and work with people that are like really good.
Cool.
Eventually.
So I want to go back. To talk about your mother. So your parents are both Greek immigrants. Were you born here or were you born in Greece?
No, I was born here. I was born in Brooklyn. My oldest brother was born in Greece. Then they moved when he was 2, and then me and my other brother were born here. Lutheran.
And you
in Sunset Park, baby.
The real
Brooklyn,
deal.
yeah.
The real deal.
It doesn't even exist. It's not Lutheran anymore. It's owned by NYU now.
Oh, wow.
It's like NYU Langone Lutheran or something like that. I don't know what it is.
I didn't realize that they had stretched their tentacles into...
Oh, it's everywhere. NYU is everywhere, baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
And before, you got in... Because I remember sort of the steps of this, all this happening, too. I remember the first video of... Which is interesting because you did a blonde wig because your mom wasn't blonde.
No,
right?
She wasn't blonde, but I only had a blonde wig. Like it was like my boyfriend's wig at the time. He was just like, put this on, and I just like put on a blonde wig. You know what I mean? But I think it worked because the thing is people did come for me for the blonde wig, but there are Greek women that do look like that. They have that blonde hair. Even if you know that chef Maria Loy, she looks exactly like that Greek mom character that I used to do. Like my mom may not have looked like that Greek mom character that I did, but Maria Loy looks like a spitting image of that character.
To me, I think it's a smart move though, because it's not like I'm doing my mom.
I wasn't really doing my mom. Yeah. I was doing my mom. I was doing my grandma. There was a mix of people there, so it wasn't just her. It was also like things I've seen other moms do with their kids because I used to do a series that was like Greek moms with girls versus boys. And it's like, we were brothers. So I didn't know how my mom would have been with a daughter, but I saw other examples of that and was able to apply them.
So before you started doing the impression of your mother, you commented about her on stage. I mean, one of the first jokes I remember you doing is you talking about her ordering the pepperoni pizza.
Oh, yeah, Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she never learned English, right?
No, she didn't learn English. Yeah, 39 years in this country.
Amazing.
No English. Can you imagine?
Do you think that was a choice or?
No, it was a choice. I mean, I think it wasn't a choice, and then it became a choice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think at first she would say like, well, it was hard. Like, she came here.
How old was she when they moved here?
She was like in her 20s, like probably 24, right? And then she came here. They were living in like poverty. They had nothing. It was she had a baby. She had a 2-year-old baby. My dad was working, and it's not like they could afford for her to go to take English classes or anything like that. My dad was forced to take English classes in Greece from his grandparents.
You guys could have watched Sesame Street together.
Right. So, yeah, exactly. I know. But he learned English from his grandparent taking school there. So he already knew it coming to America. So he was way ahead of the curve. So he was the translator for all the aunts and uncles that came here and the idiots that never wanted to learn. Well, whatever, the idiots. But they all never learned. It's really funny. But my mom, it was a term. It was like, at first it was like, I can't really afford this. And then eventually just became like, fuck it.
Right.
The kids are old enough that they're translating for me anyway. You know what I mean? I have Dimitri's 5 now, 6. He'll translate for me. I'll get by. And then Mario was old enough, and then I was old enough, and then she got by.
So you're one of 3?
3, yeah.
So 1 born in Greece, 2 born here.
Mm-hmm.
What brought your dad here originally?
It's kind of a crazy story.
Right.
I mean, like well, I mean, first of all, there was a big wave of immigration of Greeks at that time in the 80s. It was like the 60s. In the 60s, a lot of the Greeks moved to the Midwest and to Florida. and in the 50s too. But then in the 80s, a lot of them moved to New York. So in New York, you have a lot of the first generation Greeks. So like in Astoria, that's why everyone's smoking a cigarette out there. They're all just in the Dunkin' Donuts, you know, smoking, drinking coffee, playing fucking card games all day long. That's what Astoria is. But so a lot of it was like the writing on the wall of like, well, there's not really any job opportunities here in Athens or in Greece. So most likely you're going to all have to end up moving to America anyway. And they were all working for like a clothing factory in Athens at the time. And my mom's brother in the village was like murdered over a land dispute from somebody else in the village. And they all just kind of were like, fuck this family, we're just going to go to America. And they moved to America.
That's so funny, because especially being in New York, you hear so many similar stories of whatever reason, and so we all just packed up and moved.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine?
It's always like some weird thing. The land dispute thing is like, the thing is like, it's so difficult to explain unless you have immigrant parents, because it's like, most immigrant family arguments are about some weird plot of land that exists in the homeland. And it's like the shittiest thing you've ever seen. It's like a toilet in the ground, and everyone's like, but it's mine. And you're like fighting over it like it's, you know, the fucking holy grail, but it's not. And it is the cause for a lot of arguments. In this case, it led to murder, but it wasn't like in the family. It was like other people in the village killed my uncle because of it. They like ran him over with a tractor trailer. It was horrific. I know, it was truly horrific. But that's Greece. I mean, it is what it is.
and like I said, I mean, just wild. I can't imagine. You know, when I was still, when I still had my jewelry company, and traveling back and forth to China, I used to think about that. As many immigrants as I knew, just the idea of like, just imagine, just like packing up all your shit, moving to China, not knowing the language, and just being like, all right, I'm going to open for business here. I'm going to figure this out. Like, I just don't understand how people do it.
It is really crazy. I mean, luckily my mom had my dad and he spoke, and like all my aunts and uncles had my dad. And then, the kids grow up eventually, so we were able to translate. But like, it is crazy. Like, I just went, this is not even close enough to be an example, but I just went to Thailand, and I don't know why, but I was an ignorant American showing up. I really thought in Bangkok, at least, everyone would speak English. No one spoke English.
Wow.
The Thai are really connected to their language. And I was like, no, that's fair. I'm the dumbass that didn't just like sit and Google 3 phrases. Do you know what I mean? Just say like, thank you, hello, goodbye. That's all I needed to just be nice enough to get by. But I couldn't even do that because I was so dumb. But like, I showed up, and that first day, I was freaking the fuck out. I was like so overwhelmed. I was like, the taxi driver didn't speak English on the way from the airport. I landed at 2 a.m. I was so tired. Like, I'm so exhausted. No one is speaking English. I don't know where anything is. The 7-Eleven is so confusing. I was like, I don't know how to get anywhere.
What did you go to Thailand for? You just wanted to go to the beach?
I went to the Philippines for a wedding, and then I went to Thailand after. But then I like got on the subway. I got to where I needed to be, got on the subway, did it all by myself. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. I figured it out.
I am Thai now.
I did it. I'm Thai now. I'm wearing linen. I'm wearing long sleeve linen in the heat. It's great.
Do you speak Greek at all?
I do speak Greek fluently because my mom.
Oh, amazing.
But I did Thailand for 11 days and the Philippines for 12 days.
That's a long time.
It was great.
To be in an immersive environment.
It was a long time to be, But there's so many tourists in Thailand that I found English speakers everywhere.
I mean, all my time back and forth to China, most of the time was in Hong Kong, where everybody spoke English.
Yeah.
And if we went into mainland China to go to a factory or something, we usually had somebody with us that was interpreting. So that was never...
How many times have you been to China?
I don't know, 5 or 6 or something. I mean,
wow. I really want to go. I want to go to Japan next. I'm so into Asia now. I'm so pumped. Yeah.
I never went to Japan, and I never went to Australia, which so many times when you're that far, it just makes sense to go ahead the rest of the way, and I never did. But I
know, but I can't wait to go back. I want to go back to Thailand like immediately, like right now. Like if we could stop the podcast early and I could get on a flight, I'd be down.
Let's go. Like
I'm so excited. I love Thailand. Yeah.
Amazing. So early on, the jokes about your mother Well, your mother didn't speak English. So, I mean, did she ever see you do comedy? I mean, before...
No. The first time my mom ever saw me do comedy was I brought her to South Carolina for a gig. And it was a road gig in a Greek church.
Okay.
And I did an hour. And in English. Uh-huh. And the way that the show was structured at this time was that I would do 30 minutes of stand-up. and then 30 minutes of the Greek mom character at the end.
You're getting ahead of me, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like get into a character. I would get into her character, and I would do bits as her, and it was fun. It was a really cool thing. I mean, I don't know if I'll bring it back, but like it was a really fun thing to do because it was like I would do like a dating segment, I would do like a Q&A, I would do a dance thing. It was really fun. But it was like it was fun to do that character live because you could be as mean as you wanted and people were like, "Oh, she's a Greek mom." I mean, but you're like, I'm just being mean because this is funny. But that was the first time she ever saw me do like a full stand-up set. And she was like, I didn't really understand what was going on, but you know, it was good. People liked it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so fascinating. I mean, and one of my favorite jokes, I mentioned the pepperoni joke, but truly one of my favorite jokes just in general, and I don't want to paraphrase it, but your brother's joke about the Puerto Rican Day Parade, or the
Oh, I know what joke you're talking about. I haven't done that joke in so
It's so funny.
long.
It's one of my favorite. I tell you,
we're crossing through a gay parade,
right?
And my mom's like, "Oh, look, the gays. They're always celebrating something. They're always
singing and dancing about something.
They're always singing and dancing about something." I'm like, "That's the Puerto Rican Day Parade," and my mom goes, "Them too."
So
it's brutal.
Funny.
It was
It is
so funny. It was funny. I've stopped doing that because you do enough shows in Brooklyn where it's like tight audiences and people are like, I don't want to laugh at that.
Yeah.
And you're like, fine, I'll stop doing the joke, but it's funny
and unoffensive.
It's unoffensive. It's just like something my mom said. Do you know? It is unoffensive. It's not like she's saying anything nasty or derogatory.
Both are true.
Either gays or Puerto Ricans. Like they sing and dance. Oh, ooh, let's all go riot over that. Like relax, truly.
So you started doing the character online. It starts to take.
I'm going to do that joke tonight. I'm doing it tonight, and if it bombs, I'm calling you.
One of my
telling you right now. I'm literally going to scream at the audience and be like, "She doesn't even say anything mean about them." I'm going to lose my shit.
Funny. And I think when you used to tell, you even had like a cigarette puff.
Yeah, she's got a whole cigarette.
Yeah. Then eventually you started bringing your mom she became a celebrity as well, right?
She did. I started posting her and then people loved her. I mean, it was instant. Like people were like obsessed with her. She was so funny, that first video I posted of her. And it was at my birthday party and she was just roasting the shit out of me. And then I just kept posting her. And eventually it really became a thing where it was like not more people, but people were following me on my Instagram for her, not for me.
Right.
Like it was like, oh yeah, you do your little thing, Gus, but like, all right, when you post her, we're here. You know?
That's what I was curious about. How did she feel about kind of that level of attention?
Well, she started getting recognized everywhere she was going, especially in New York. I mean, not if she ever, ventured outside, but in New York and in Greece, she was getting recognized everywhere, especially Greece. It was like we were swimming in the ocean and people were like, it's the mom. Like people were like everywhere. There was one store where they met her, took a picture with her, and then the next day they put the picture up on the wall like she was Robert De Niro. I was like, this is hilarious,
I love that.
Everywhere. It was like everywhere she was going, people were stopping her, stopping me. And then in Astoria, anywhere she went, like Titan Foods, if she went out to eat, the waiters were like, oh, it's her. Like she liked it though after a while, because after a while she realized that she could use it to her advantage. Do you know what I mean? She was like, either I can get a free meal out of this or I can get a donut, you know what I mean? Or someone can, because especially when she was going to Greece in the airport, when she doesn't speak the language, she doesn't know where to go. So she latches herself onto a Greek and then hopes for the best. And they're like, take me to my gate. You know what I mean? That's what she does in the airports. So she, this made it easier because instead of having to find a Greek person to be like, hey, can you help me get to my gate? She just had fans coming up to her, asking for a picture. And then she would be like, hey, can you just take me to my gate? And then they'd be like, yeah, sure. And then they'd walk her.
That's one question I had always wondered, kind of watching this journey and this build with your social media presence, was whether she, especially with the language barrier, felt like she was being made fun of at first, or whether...
Well, no, I think she did think, at first, yeah, she did think she was being made fun of. And my brother also was a nightmare about it because he told her, he was like, oh, he's making fun of you and this and that. So she had no real context of it. And then it wasn't until her church friends were like, oh, we love it, that she was like, oh, okay. And then, I don't know, I think when she started, and when enough of her own videos had come out and she started seeing how people reacted to her in person, she was able to, I think, contextualize it for herself. Because then after a while, it was like, not me just filming her, it was like, if I filmed her, she had something to say. Like, I could tell she was like, no, bitch. I know you want to do whatever you want to do. I want to talk about my shit today. Like, I could tell. Like, there was one day I went over and I was like trying to get her to film like some recipe, and she was like, marriage is so fucking stupid. And I was like, here we go. She's got something to say today. And I was like, all right, go for it. And that was cool because it was good to give her like that voice, you know?
Would you post the videos like with English subtitles or with Greek subtitles?
No, I would do English subtitles because for people that, you know, didn't speak Greek,
right.
You know,
whatever. I guess it would be fine in Greek. Right.
Right. And then some people were like, oh, can you put them in Greek subtitles because my grandma can't hear? And I was like, well, I'm not going to, it's hard work enough. Because the problem I had with those Greek mom videos was that, you know, I didn't have a Greek editor or a Greek whatever to do that for me. It's like those videos, I had to like comb through hours of footage of my mom just to get something funny, and then like I'd have to translate it and cut it together because like I had no one else to help me do that. You can't get an editor. Right. I mean, I can't get like some random person to do it. I have to find a Greek person, and then they have to be good, and then they have to be like competent.
Fascinating.
And then they have to be like on their shit. So it's like it's so many steps. I just do it myself, and it was difficult, but. So I just translate it. And some people would complain about my translations, but I'm like, give me a break. I am capturing her essence.
So you touched on this a second ago. You started touring a lot of Greek churches, right?
I did. 2022 in the first half of 2023, I just did Greek churches.
That's amazing. And
a few clubs, but mostly Greek churches.
And you would do half as you and then half as your mom.
Half as me, and then I would change into the costume on stage while I talked about... Like, there wouldn't be a break. I would do it on stage while I talked about how the character came about.
Amazing.
And, like, things... Because for the people that didn't know in the churches. Because sometimes, you know, the wives bring their husbands, and the husbands are like, I don't know who this is. My wife likes him on Twitter. You know what I mean? It's like some jabroni. So, I would change in the costume, and then there would be, like, interactive bits.
Have you ever done comedy in Greek or always in American?
No, I have never done it in Greek, but I do want to do it. Yeah. I think it'd be great.
I would imagine... I mean, you've already got a little bit of
I could sell out. I could sell out Athens easy, baby. Let's go. Let's do it.
I would love to see you in a church because one thing that has always impressed me about your comedy specifically is your ability to come into a regular comedy room, any show, scooped out of Broadway, 200 people sitting at Broadway Comedy Club from all over America and Europe, and do filthy content.
Disgusting.
And have them on your side. I mean, and that's I mean, because how many times do we see somebody in front of a crowd trying a really edgy bit and just eating shit? And I mean, and then you're talking about getting gangbanged by, everybody in the neighborhood on Grindr in front of, all these rosy-cheeked middle America people, and they're right there with you, which is just, tremendous.
It's so funny. I know in the churches I had to write a full hour.
That's my question. What is your clean material been like?
I know. I wrote a full, I have a whole hour clean now because of it, and now I do those raunchy jokes a lot now still, but, it is like I do have an hour of clean material, and it was nice. It is nice to write clean, and it's nice to have it. And nice to be able to do it. Now I can, because at first it's really nerve-wracking to do clean. Yeah. And now I can do it without even thinking about it. Now if someone's like, can you do an hour clean? I'm like, sure, let's go.
I mean, literally just last night. So I did a show at 6 p.m. at Greenwich Village Comedy Club. And my dad's military, grew up in the military, oldest family friend I've known my entire life. This girl used to babysit me when I was a kid. She's in New York right now with her kids who are now like 10 and 12, reached out to me and, said, can I bring my kids to your show? And I'm like, I mean, it's like, you can, but it's, the cleanest one will probably be at 6 p.m., but there's still going to be dirty jokes and, but if you want to, do it. And I don't know how conservative they are personally because I'm supposed to actually meet them today and kind of say thanks for coming to the show. But, I should have spent a little bit more time thinking about my set before I got on stage, because in my mind I'm like, well, that one's not bad, that one's not bad, that one's not bad, fine. And then you're like mid-joke, I'm like, God, this joke is filthy.
It's disgusting.
Why am I talking about this right now?
I know. I have a lot of jokes like that where I'm like, this one's totally clean. And I'm like, and then I do coke. You know what I mean? And you're like, what? Oh wait, what happened here?
With my asshole.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's nerve-wracking. But I know, to have a priest staring at you while you're telling jokes, though, it really, it puts things in perspective, I guess. And I was like, all right, gotta be clean.
So are you still doing any of the church stuff?
I'm doing a couple of them this year, but not as much, because I'm doing clubs this year. I'm going on tour doing clubs, which is really nice. But yeah, I mean, the churches are nice, but it is, after a while, it's like I'm doing churches. And and it's really fun and great, and the communities are really great, but it's something I just don't want to be doing for the longevity of my career. I mean, how many other
comics do you know that could do an hour in a Greek Orthodox church on an or any church in an afternoon, and then that night go and do a filthy...
You know what? Can you just go tell somebody that works at any fucking network or studio that? Because no one wants to pay attention, and I'm out here, guys. I'm kidding. No.
This is a good tie-in. You have a Comedy Central
I do have a Comedy Central set. But even that, it took a really long time to get there. And I think by the time I got it, I felt like a lot of comedians were like, oh, that was way overdue. As opposed to like, congrats. No one said congrats. They were like, oh, well, finally. And I was like, okay, well, don't make me feel bad about achieving something. Yeah, it really felt like that. I was like, damn.
That's fair, because I feel like I just last week said to you, why aren't you past at the Cellar yet? I mean,
like literally, yeah, I get that. I get so many of those, like a lot. And I'm like, yeah, Comedy Cellar, before I got Comedy Central, I mean, everyone was like, I don't understand how you don't have that anything at all. Right. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know, baby. And for a long time, it felt like I was really working on that. Like, I had such a clear idea of what I wanted that set to be. And I was like, these are the jokes I want to do. So a part of me was like, I don't even want to write that much new material, because I know this is the set I want to do. Right. So now I kind of feel free to like write whatever I want, because I'm like, I did it. I did the set that I wanted to do, and not just that, I did it like I found a way to like make it even more special than I wanted to, because of like everything that happened, that I was like, great. I'm so happy to be able to have told those jokes in that way.
So your set's available now on ComedyCentral.com?
It's on the YouTube.
On the YouTube. Yeah. Cool. Where was that filmed?
LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how does that work? They gather the audience for you, and you just sort of...
They gather the audience.
They do a bunch of back-to-back, or... And
they do it like a show. They have a host, and they have the 8 comics, and they do 2 shows. They have like 16 comics on the whatever that they book, and then they split it into 2 shows.
Okay, so you do get 2 chances?
No, you get 1 chance.
Right.
I think back in the day it was 2 chances, but now this one was 1 chance to get it right. But they do say to you, like, if you mess up a line, just start it over, or if there's laughter, just start it over and just go with it. And the audience, like, it'll be fine. Don't worry. And so there was a couple things that I did start over that they did trim a little bit. Right. But, and they do say, like, if something really bombs, or, like, if something, like, with the audience doesn't work, just say, can you cut that? And we'll cut it. Yeah. So, like, don't worry. Which is nice, because on late night or other things, like, you really don't have that luxury.
I'm going to start trying that on live shows. I'm going to take that again.
Yeah. They didn't cut, like, a single thing. Other than, like, a flub or 2, they didn't cut anything. So I was, like, thrilled, because I did a long set. I blew that light by, like, a while. So I was like, whatever.
Really?
Yeah, but they said they don't care. They don't really care. So it wasn't like they were mad or anything.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to get into this. So the last time have you been to Greece, I guess, since
I haven't. No, I have not been to Greece since the trip to Greece. So I think I'm going this summer, but I don't really want to.
So when was that? How long ago was that?
It was like 8 months. 8 months.
So it hasn't even been a full year.
It hasn't been a full year, no.
So you and your family are taking a family trip to Greece.
Yeah, me and my dad, and then me and my boyfriend at the time.
Right.
And my mom. All 4 of us.
Oh, so your brothers weren't even there?
No, my brothers were not there. They were here in America. They were just home. And then we had 4 days together in Crete, and then we split up. Me, my dad, me and my boyfriend. My mom, my dad, me and my boyfriend. They went back to the village. They went to another island. We went to island hopping. And then we were going to meet up back for the last 4 days of our trip in Athens. And then, like, the day before, my mom had a stroke and died. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Waiting for the ferry to get back to her village.
And so did your dad reach out to you?
No, he didn't reach out to me at all because I was there. I was the closest one. I was on an island on the other side of Greece, though.
Right.
And I had a ferry back to Athens the next day. Either way.
With your boyfriend?
With my boyfriend. Because that was part of the trip.
Right.
So I woke up that morning of the ferry. Like, of the day we were supposed to go back to Athens, I woke up. And I had gotten 2 phone calls from my brother, a phone call from my sister-in-law, and then my other brother. And then I called my brother, and he told me. And then I called my dad, and he was getting on a private plane to go to Athens with my mom. But it was too late at that point.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so everybody, did your brothers come then to Greece?
My one brother flew to Greece. This is the chaos of it. Right. So she was in a coma for 5 days.
Okay.
And so Sunday we get to Athens. I see her in the hospital and my dad's like, there's no chance. Monday, my brothers decide to fly in. My brother Mario flies in. My brother Dimitri, his passport is about to expire. And even though it's not going to expire before he gets back, they won't let him fly because it's within the 30-day window. So now he's got to get another passport. So now he's got to get a 24-hour emergency passport thing. The closest appointment is in Buffalo, New York.
Right.
So he drives to Buffalo, gets his passport, drives back, gets on a plane to JFK, from JFK to Athens. So he arrives on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we all see my mom together. And then on Thursday, I had my flight back to New York. The doctor told us that she was going to last for like 2 more weeks and that we should just go back home and then fly back. Because I was with my boyfriend.
Oh, right.
And my boyfriend had to go to work.
Sure.
And I was like, well, we have these flights back and I can cancel mine. But there was a lot going on at that point. And the doctor was like, it could be 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks. We don't really know when she's going to pass, like naturally, because she was in a coma, but she was done. Like there's no chance. Yeah. So we just kind of were like told to just take the flight home. And then 5 hours into the flight home, she died.
Jesus.
Which is the worst part of it, I think, because it's like, are you kidding me?
So how long before you just turned around and went
I didn't. I landed, and then by the time I landed, they were like, we booked the funeral. It's on Saturday morning. And I was like, well, the only chance that I have of getting back by Saturday morning is if I get on the plane 2 hours from now, fly back. If I get on any other plane, there's no way I was going to make it.
Right.
And I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't get on another 11-hour flight.
Yeah.
I can't. After 5 days of being in a hospital, I can't get on another 11-hour flight just to go to a funeral and then go back. And then I checked the flight. Like, the prices were $3,000. Right. They don't do bereavement anymore for shit. And my dad was like, just stay. Please just stay. It's too much. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're stressed out. You're going to lose your shit. Just stay. There's no point. You were here. We all saw her together. And then the funniest part about it was that before I called my dad, we were in the fucking, the line for customs. And I turn around, this family was like, oh my God, we love you on Instagram. And I was like, my mom just died on the plane. Should I go back? And they were like, what? And they had 2 small children with them. And the children were like, and the dad started pulling the kids back.
Oh my God.
And the mom was like, I would go back. Yeah, I would probably go. If it was my mom, yeah, I would go back. And I was like, I don't think I can go back. It's a lot. It's a long
And where's
flight.
your boyfriend during this?
My brother was just like, my boyfriend was just kind of like stumbling. Anyway, we broke up a week after that happened. You know that, right?
I do know that.
So it was just like a 2-for-1 deal. It was like mom dead, the boyfriend. It was just like a crash landing back to America.
How long before you got back on stage?
A month.
I mean, still, that's I mean, for as often as you get up, that's a while.
Yeah. I should have taken more time in retrospect, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't know.
That's how you process. I mean, you're talking about it on stage already.
Yeah,
you're talking
I am.
about your dad
I know,
a lot
I am.
on stage. Actually, that's been one of the interesting thing to come out of it is I feel like now you're talking about your dad a lot more on stage than...
Oh, yes. It's because it's brought up a lot of funny dad stuff.
Sure.
That I'm like, oh, yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Because your dad's dating again.
My dad's dating again. He's already got a girlfriend. He's got a full-time girlfriend.
Oh, I didn't know that. So this is
I know,
because
I don't want to put that in the bit yet.
Yeah.
The whole family's mad at him. My whole family is
I like him better when he's fucking around. I like this.
That's the thing is I really wanted my dad to have a hoe era. I'm mad that he has a girlfriend. No, but he didn't. He didn't allow himself. He had like 2 or 3, and then he got his girlfriend. And it's like, I wanted you to have a hoe era. As I'm single, you're single. I wanted both of us to have a hoe era. And I'm having a hoe era. I'm having a hoe moment. And I wanted the same thing for my dad. I wanted my dad to call me one day and be like, hey, Gus, I'm a little itsy. What's going on? And I'm like, chlamydia. Like, I wanted to get him antibiotics.
But and it's been like your mom's friends that are like showing up at the house, circling the house.
They show up the house. They show up to the house. He tells me they show up to the house, Gus. They bring food, the cookies, and they bring the liquor. They bring ouzo, and they make me drink. And they get me drunk, and then they hit on me. They touch me on the thigh, and then I'm like, oh, here, they wants to fuck. I'm like, shut up.
But so he's been, I guess, I don't care, but that he's been seeing women sort of around his own age, huh? He didn't like jump into the younger women.
He doesn't want the younger woman.
Because your dad's kind of handsome.
He is. Let me tell you.
I just saw that video that you posted with the 2 of you in the car.
I know.
He's kind of his daddy.
Stop this. Because I'm all the gay guys I hook up with are slipping to my DMs like, that's your dad? And I'm like, don't you fucking dare. It's so crazy. I know. Even the comments on him are like oh, wow, he's nice looking.
It was not what I was expecting at all.
What were you expecting?
I'm going to sound racist if I say anything that I was expecting. I don't know. In my mind, I was expecting more of kind of...
Yeah, so that's the thing about my dad. See, with the Greek mom, it was really easy because I knew that that's what Greeks expected, and that was what was very typical of the Greek community.
Right.
Like, that my mom was very much an archetype of a lot of these women, you know? And she was her own character, and she was very original, but she also, like, really encapsulated that type of person. And my dad is really just not like a Greek dad. He's like really atypical. So people would always ask me like, do an uncle, do a dad thing. And I'm like, you're not going to know. Like what you think of my dad is not what's going to match what my dad is. So it's funny that you said that because I'm like, I know you're expecting like this dude with like, like he's wearing shorts and high socks. But no, my dad's like cool and hip, and he's like, I'll tell you some shit.
And a daddy.
Yeah, and a daddy. And he's teaching me about like Greek slang that they used to talk, like Greek, not even Greek slang, Greek queer slang from the 80s.
Your dad was always cool with you being gay. He never cared.
I mean, I don't think he was always cool with me, but it was definitely something where he was like, all right.
Because you told him first, and then
I told my mom first. I told my dad first. I told my dad first. You're right. Yeah. And then I waited a year to tell my mom, a full year. And then I just told her one day I was feeling sassy. It was like I was on the way to class. I was in college, and I was like, because I stayed home for college. I went to NYU, so I didn't dorm.
You went to NYU.
I went to NYU. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I went to NYU, but I stayed home. I didn't dorm. Because I lived in Bay Ridge,
right.
It was long. I mean, it was a 40-minute train ride and then an hour home. But it was like I'm not going to pay.
What was your major?
I was a film TV major.
I never knew that you were an NYU kid.
I was an NYU kid, 2010 to 2014. Yeah.
2010 to 2014. So were you there when like Remy Germanario was
there? Yes,
I
was there when Remy Germanario was there. Yes, him and Carly Falamont. Falamont are my friends. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love Remy.
Yeah, I love Remy.
Remy on the show.
Yeah.
So you have a tour coming up.
I do have a tour coming up. Yeah, I'm going to a lot of places, which I'm really excited about. A lot of places I've never been before, too. Like D.C. I've never been to D.C.
Where do people go to find your tickets for?
Go on my Instagram, and it's the link in bio. And I'm on Punch Up Live, too. So
tell them what your Instagram is.
It's Constantly Gus. And on all social media, so go ahead and follow.
Like what big shows are you really excited about that you have coming up?
I have a bunch. I mean, I have so many, but like Toronto I'm really excited about. DC I'm really excited about because I've never been to both of them, and I know there's a lot of Greeks out there. And I mean, I'm going to San Francisco, which I love going to San Francisco.
And are these all solo shows that you're doing?
Yeah, I'm just headlining. These are just like clubs, and I'm headlining.
Do you ever take anybody with you to like open or any of that type of stuff?
No, usually the club books, so
cool.
I don't know.
All right, because these are all comedy clubs that you're doing.
Yeah, and especially on the road, they usually just book out, unless I have someone in mind that's in the local in the area.
Cool.
Yeah.
Comedy Central special, going to be touring this summer and fall. You can also see him all over New York. He's on my show a lot. We have a queer show every single Wednesday night at the Greenwich Village Comedy Club. You're actually headlining next
Wednesday.
Cool. This was so fun. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I love you, Gus. You're so great.
Thanks for tuning in, you guys.
It's Drew Tessier's Mostly Queer Comedy Show.